Hey, everybody, welcome to the DBC Inc. Thursday night professional development live. That's right. Even on holidays, here we are. We were off last week, I believe, and so it's good to be back with you. As you are joining us, please let us know that you're here. We love for you to throw your name in the comments over there. Let us know where you're watching from, and maybe let us know how your holidays are going. Maybe if you have any big New Year's Eve plans or anything like that, let us know. And I have a special guest for me. Oh, before I get to the guest, I should mention, as you throw your name in there, you're entering to win a book. So my special guest is Andrew Sharos. Andrew, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Excellent. And Andrew is a two-time DBC Inc. author, and he is the author of All Fours and Fives, which is a book specially geared for teachers of advanced placement courses and how to run a successful AP program. And he is also the co-author of Finding Lifelines, which is how would we describe as a parable style book? Is that what
we said parable, an allegory, a novel.
Okay.
Something that's just packed with practical advice, but in a really easy to read format. Zero research behind it, but all lived experience of a new teacher who could have used a lot of guidance 17 years ago when I started.
Yeah, fantastic. Kristen, number one, all the way from Massachusetts. Thanks for joining us.
She's really far from you tonight.
Absolutely. Separate coasts. And I guess I should address that too. So normally I'm telling you, I'm coming to you from San Diego, California, but not tonight. I am coming to you for at least a year from Vancouver, Washington. So I am in the PNW, the Pacific Northwest. And Andrew, before we go any further, maybe I told him about the books, but maybe let us know where you're coming to us from and what your current role is.
Coming to you live from Chicago, the western suburbs. So right in the middle, about 12 hours from now, we're hoping to get on a flight to Disney World. So we're not on Southwest Airlines, so I think we got a good chance of getting out tomorrow, which is good. 55 degrees in Chicago today, so we're really happy about that. A little 80-degree turnaround in just 48 hours. So I've had the same job, same location, same school district my whole career. Started off as a history teacher like yourself. Did a dean for a year. I was no good at that. And then jumped to the assistant principal role for 8 years. Now I'm the assistant CFO. I'm shadowing our CFO who's retiring. And I'll be doing like all of the business office, the transportation, food services, maintenance, fiscal services. So about 60% of our employees work in all of those areas, right? The other 40% is teachers. So a totally different job, but like learning more about being a team player and like the engine that runs the school, and just super thankful to have a year to work with the current CFO.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, very cool. And so I was complaining to Andrew before we started about my cold weather runs and having to like learn how to do layers and all that kind of stuff like that. And then, I feel kind of silly now. I mean, Andrew's from Chicago and might know a little bit about winter. We have Kristen in there from Massachusetts, and now we have a Nick from Winnipeg joining us. And, she would laugh at the temperatures that I consider to be cold. And so maybe I just need to stop complaining.
Well, we got people from Arizona and the warm weather season of Australia too. So we got some room to work here.
That's right. So Karen is they're in the summer in Australia on holidays. And so welcome, Karen and Lisa. Thanks for joining us from Arizona.
Like there should be bonus points too for joining on the one in between Christmas and New Year's, right? There's prizes that go with this, right?
Absolutely. There are prizes. That's right. So the Fours and Fives books, just briefly, I want to chat about that with you. So this is a project that I talk to sometimes to people, like people when they pitch us books. Typically our books, one of the key features is I want them to be wide. In other words, they're applicable K-12, multiple subjects, multiple roles in education. You could do a book study on it with your staff, all this kind of stuff like this. But occasionally we make exceptions. And I use your book as an example. When you find a book that is amazing for a underserved market, which can be reached, and you can reach that underserved market, then maybe that's a project that's worth doing. And your book is a perfect example of this. When you presented the project, I did a little research on AP books, came to an unbelievable conclusion. Every single AP book was a test prep guide. It was about how to prepare kids for the test, and subject area specific. But there was nothing out there about how to just run and create a powerful AP program at your school. And so your book really filled that gap. And if you look on Amazon, you might be fooled to believe that it doesn't do very well. But what we know behind the scenes is that districts buy it for all their AP teachers. Schools buy it for all their AP teachers. You speak at AP conferences where you're in front of a whole group of AP teachers and they eat it up.
Hey, I got a 30-minute shared session at ISTE this year too. I mean, like that. Now I know I'm on the track now. When you get into ISTE,
Oh man, you're gonna be in front of thousands.
Oh gosh, for sure. Divided by 500, maybe.
That's right. Yeah, ISTE.
Dave, this too, right? Like, here's the funny thing. So, finding lifelines might be like one of the best categories of evergreen. It's widespread audience, right? There are going to be hundreds of thousands of new teachers over the course of the next, decade or so, right? Like there'll always be new teachers. And we're hoping that like finding lifelines like starts to gain some traction and gets out there more. And yet the book that was supposed to be for the niche audience, that was supposed to be for the smallest audience that you ever published for. And I talk about like your faith in me all the time of taking a chance on that. I think it's done fairly well. Like, yeah. A former principal of mine said the biggest mistake you made with this book was you made it about AP and you titled it All Fours and Fives. And like you boxed yourself into this audience, because if you really start to read the pages and the advice and some of the stories in the book, it's really just about good teaching, right? So if you let me rewrite it, I will. I know there's all sorts of rules against that now, but right. I mean, part of it is, I think if you pick it up, like you don't even have to know what the two letters AP stand for. I think there's still a lot of advice on how to build culture in your class, how to keep like rules and relationships at the same time, right? And try to get kids to do what you want them to do, which ultimately probably means you're going to be a fairly successful teacher if you and the students are rowing in the same direction. But also some of the program support stuff too. Like all of our teachers are only going to be as good as the support that they get from their administration, from their district, from their board. And we found that to be really true and supportive in our space. So just sharing that advice with other people, like maybe that clicks a conversation with the teacher and someone who could be there to support them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it has done very well. And, and it's an early example. And, we were more willing to take some chances on some more tightly targeted books after that, seeing what All Fours and Fives has done. And so, we have some more subjects area specific books and some books for the littles and, just a little more tightly targeted sometimes. So
I think the cool part is like from the get-go, the mantra was if there's 5 teachers that can benefit from this and then affect the 150 kids that they have, right, that the recursiveness of how some of the literature that we put out into the world has in building relationships and giving teachers, instructional methods and ideas, exposing them to different things. Like from our standpoint, it's worth it, right? Like you've gotten those emails from readers. You've gotten those direct messages from readers. And like, that's kind of why we do it, right? Is that, somewhere in a corner of the world, right? In Washington or Massachusetts or in Australia tonight, like if there's some teachers that are thinking about something a little differently and it affects kids for the positive, like we're all winning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I want to take time to say Monica from Tennessee has jumped in. Thank you. I'm headed to Tennessee next week. I think I have a engagement in Tennessee. Arizona, Lisa. I'm headed to Arizona in the month of January too. And to do professional development. Two Amy's. We have Amy from Central Texas is here. Thank you for joining us. And hey, Amy, good to see you here as well. So people are piling in. I love to see that. And for those people that are joining us, Andrew, and we're coming to the close of 2022, heading into 2023. what do you got for us? You got some words of advice for us as we head into the new year?
I'm reminded of, what is it, your 3-word GPS or 5-word GPS?
5-word GPS,
yeah. Where you headed, right? And like Alicia Ray talks about this in Educational Eye Exam, like what's your one word for the year? So I tried to pick up that last year. So 2022, my word was committed. So everything I do with my kids, everything we do in coaching, everything we do at work, my marriage, right? Committed, like it's full commitment, full blast. So I'm exhausted because it's been a strong year of commitment. So I've been thinking about 2023, and I want to tell you a story. I think that you'll be able to relate to a little bit. So 7 days ago, I tore my ACL, and this is the third time I've torn it on the same knee. Every time it's been playing basketball. I haven't picked up a ball in 6 years, and I was at practice with my kids, and I was demonstrating in a drill, and it buckled and went down. So that's been the holidays, right? And so like everything that goes through your mind with an injury, because I know you've been there too.
Yeah.
How am I going to get to work? Or like, am I going to get to my speaking gigs? Or, I'm not going to be able to coach my kids in practice. Or what does my life look like at 60? Or how am I going to break a sweat and work out in the next 4 months when I'm going to, like all this stuff, right? Like, what did I just do to my wife and the responsibility now on her shoulders with 3 kids? And, that night when it happened, there were so many people who came to help me, right? Like someone drove one of my kids home from practice. Another person picked up one of the other kids that day. Someone called and got me an MRI at 8 a.m. the next day on December 23rd, when everyone wanted to do was just go home. Someone read the results of that MRI 2 hours later. And by Christmas, I had my present that I tore my ACL. But if it weren't for all of those people who were helping, we couldn't do it. Like we couldn't do it at home. We couldn't do it at work. And so, the feeling when people are not for you, you feel it for them. Right. And the strength of the feeling when people are for you and they're for others and they're there to help you. It's irreplaceable, right? Like you just want to pay them back right away because you feel so indebted. And so my GPS, right? So back to my 5-word GPS, or my one word for the year is next year I'm going to be for others. I think I've realized that there's so many times in your life when you're either struggling or things that are going well, and people that you need to thank, that people that were for you and not about themselves in that moment. And so if I can spend a full year, I think, committed to just be for others, hopefully that'll be a good example to others, but also something I think we can apply like in our departments, in our schools, in our lives, right? Like I know you're supposed to be selfless and you're supposed to care about others more than yourself, but when you're for others, right? Like you drop it all and you help each other.
Yeah, I love that. What a great focus for 2023 for others. I love that. And it does resonate with me. It reminds me, I did a podcast episode called An Iconic Run and an Epic Fall. I think it was called, or something like that. And running in San Francisco, and slick, rainy, stepped on a slick part of the concrete going down a hill, feet slipped out, slammed my head into the ground, popped up, didn't realize it, but blood was pouring down my face. I was split my head open. And it was 2 strangers came up, said, "Hey, like how, like, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And they're like, "No, actually,
No, you're not.
You're not okay at all." And I put my hand up and realized what had happened. And and so it was a woman, this woman, like, she walked me up to the street. She got me an Uber. She got me into an Uber and off to the emergency room to get stitched up and all that. And, I don't know this woman. It was in the middle, it's kind of in the middle of COVID when it happened. And I'm sitting there bloody all over the place. And this woman was just helping me as best she could, and she called me. She wanted to have my number to check on me. I'm leaving the hospital, and she called to make sure that everything was okay afterwards. Never met her in my life. Haven't met her since. But, she was for others in that moment, and it meant the world to me.
Like, you don't wish for those opportunities, but like right now, like I want to play that role of Good Samaritan, or I want to do something for others just because I feel so indebted for, and not just the last week or not that night, but what the next few months are going to be like, just trying to recover. So, just reflecting and thinking about some of the challenges that people face during the year. The holidays can be really hard for some folks. And This is a minor setback in the long run, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have more joining us from Arizona. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Like I said, I'm going to be going to Arizona. I think the end of the month of January, I'll be there. Monica asked where I'll be in Tennessee. I'm going to be in a little town called Cunningham, Tennessee. Speaking there on the 4th of January, I think. And so that's going to be there. Yeah. And so I love seeing that so many people are being reflective at this time of the year. And thinking, kind of looking back on their 2022, but then also looking forward to 2023, and setting that kind of that intentionality for the coming year. And it's such a powerful thing that happens kind of at this time.
No doubt. It's a good time to reflect. It's a good time to reset. The New Year's resolutions are still a thing, right? So I think recommitting to something and making sure that January just isn't the best selling, most packed month in the fitness club, right? But whatever it is, you're committed to it for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I am prepared for what my local Planet Fitness is going to look like January.
All the regulars hate January, right?
January 1 through maybe the 10th.
And you're rooting for all those people too, right? Like you're rooting for them, but you're looking around wondering who's going to be here next month.
Except for the ones that use the same machines as me.
Exactly.
Those people I want to see fail.
Not rooting for them quite as hard.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
That person that's always like hogging the preacher curl machine. Like I need that person to quit.
Exactly. Well, you can have mine because I'm going to be on the shelf for a while. So it's all yours.
There you go. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And so, so I know that fitness goals are a big thing. By the way, I mentioned the podcast tomorrow. A little preview. I haven't put a podcast out in literally months and months and months. But tomorrow I'm interviewing somebody that you all know if you come to our Facebook Lives, and that is I am interviewing Tara Martin, our own Tara Martin, on the podcast on the Dave Burgess Show. And hopefully I'm going to get the episode out the same day. So I think tomorrow a new episode release. So if you're not subscribed to the Dave Burgess Show podcast, make sure you get in there and subscribe. Andrew,
there'll be no energy in that conversation.
There'll be zero energy whatsoever. I don't know. It'll probably
very low energy.
It'll just be very quiet the whole time as we just like
awkward
silences and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so Andrew, this Finding Lifelines, I just have another question for you before we get up and out of here. And that is, I know that kind of your original idea behind it had to do with supporting teachers who are new to the field. But just like you mentioned that all 4s and 5s really has stuff for everybody. Finding Lifelines, I think, when you say is the same way, that it's whether you are a new teacher, you're going to find something. If you mentor a new teacher, it's absolutely going to be for you. But pretty much any step of the game, you're going to learn stuff from this book.
I think it brings you back to what your first year teaching was like. And I think it makes you thankful that you're no longer a first year teacher. But similar to our earlier conversation, right? I think the book becomes a calling that you have new teachers in your department almost every year. You're going to have new teachers in your school, certainly every year. And whether they're in your department, in your area or not, like understanding the challenges that they have that first year, knowing it's probably going to be hopefully their toughest year of teaching over their long career. What advice can you pass down? How do you model? How do you mentor? What type of relationships do they need? And ultimately, I think as a mentor teacher, like there's some benefits in there for you too by working with new teachers. So our protagonist, right, the Jill in the story is a new teacher, and she ends up teaching her mentor teacher a bunch of stuff about technology that this 30-year veteran teacher didn't have, right? So there's stuff that we can learn too from those folks coming out of college. And I know you know this too because I've listened to a couple podcasts. Your interests are so varied that I think there's a lot to learn from outside of education. So in education, we're getting career changers now too, right? And so, they may be a first-year teacher, but they know a ton about sales, or they know a ton about marketing, or they know a ton about some other walk of life, medical field or whatever it might be. And I think if you can take some of those things from those folks around you, new teacher or not, and eventually translate that into what that means for your kids, what that means for you, I think you're becoming a really well-rounded teacher. All we've ever done is be in schools, right? So if we can give our kids a different perspective other than education, I kind of think that contributes to that, like, care for the whole student, right? Like what they're walking away with.
Absolutely. I love Monica here. I need to reread it from a mentor perspective.
I love the word reread. That's great. Yeah. Reread. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Fantastic. And by the way, Monica mentioned earlier that she was going to be one of those January gym goers and she wasn't going to commit to anything after that, but we're pulling for you, Monica.
Good. Let's hold her to it. Yeah. Hold her to it.
You're not that person on the preacher curl machine.
Not our machine.
Have quit.
Not our machines. No.
Yeah. So since we do not share the same gym, I'm hoping that you start to become a regular there. Yeah, this is fantastic. I love it. And let's see what we have here. Cross career. Oh yeah, absolutely. So there are pros and cons to this, my interest in all these other things. And so I think that I wrote something in the book called Creative Alchemy about how drawing stuff in from outside areas. And Teach Like a Pirate is a weird book. There's not one education book referenced inside of it. It's all from outside of education drawn in. A lot of it is anyway. But it also, this interest in outside things sometimes are rabbit holes that cost me a little time. Like the last couple days, see, there's the Rapid and Blitz World Chess Championships going on right now in Kazakhstan. And I have been absolutely glued to my YouTube stream.
Now translate that to the classroom now.
Yeah. Oh. And so Magnus Carlsen, congratulations on becoming the, once again, the Rapid world champion. And after one day remaining, Hikaru Nakamura from the United States is winning in the Blitz. For those of, I know all of you are desperately waiting for your updates on the Rapid and Blitz championships. And so there you go. Let's hope that Hikaru can bring it home tomorrow.
But just the number of people in the room just starts shrinking.
Yeah, totally.
Or they're calling their friends and it's just starting to grow.
Yeah, I'm watching the stream numbers just go down and like everyone's falling off the end. But
Dave, think about this though. Like there's a coach who I really admire. His name's Buzz Williams from Texas A&M. He had a few other stops before that. And he says that you're going to be the exact same person you are today in 5 years, except for the books that you read and the people that you meet. Right. So I expand that a little bit more to the other interests that you have. Right. And if I think about that a lot in what I'm reading, like the diet that I'm feeding myself. But also the connections that I'm making with other people and like that dude knows something about something I know nothing about. I want to learn about that. Right. Or like that gal has a lot of experience in this area. I could use a little bit. Right. So I don't know. I think about that. And I think it's motivating if you kind of throw that in some of your goals of 2023, right? Like read and talk to people. Yep.
Absolutely. 100%. Andrew, it has been absolutely a pleasure to have you join in on the show. I'm tempted to, like, I'm sitting here trying to fight myself from telling a dramatic story from the chess tournament today. And I'm gonna, oh, look who's joining us. I'm going to fight
middle child.
Urge, and I'm going to stop. Hey, thank you for popping in and joining us. Good to see you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right. How do you feel about pirates? This is a trick question. Be careful.
We got to get that thumbs up on the screen. There we go.
Okay, thumbs up. All right. All right.
That was a really good ride at Disney World, right?
Yeah. You passed the test. And so you are a winner of the night. That's fantastic. Good answer. Good answer. Yeah. Hey, we really appreciate all of you joining us in between this like holiday break, like right before New Year's Eve and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely extra credit for you being here on your vacation as an educator. And I hope that you're taking some time to also unplug, recharge those batteries, and get ready to have a successful 2023. And the next time that we tune in with you, it will be 2023. But don't forget that if you listen to the Dave Burgess podcast, you can check Tara and me out tomorrow. I'm going to drop that episode. So I hope that you'll listen. We'll be talking about New Year's kind of stuff and all that. So it should be.
Can you stretch that episode a little bit? I got a 6-hour drive coming up on the 2nd of January. So I need content.
I got a funny feeling it's not going to be really hard to do that.
Good.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have any problems filling time. So
awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for coming, everyone.